Howdy do, folks. It's your old Uncle Jason here, and I'm going to say to you, hear ye the word of the Lord today. Some of you folks, and myself included, have forgotten just who God is, and how powerful He is, and how wise He really is, how ancient, and how ageless He is. Just to give you a little example, I feel led to lead you in a reading from the book of Job, chapters 38 through 41. Now, in these chapters, God declares to Job, He actually asks him questions. And some would say it's a rebuke. Some would say it's a reminder. I personally think it might be a little bit of both. How many times have we begun to complain to the Lord and not actually contemplate just how wise and great He really is? So let's take today and think about just who God is with the reading of Job chapter 38 through 41. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, Who is this that darkeneth counsel by words without knowledge? Gird up now thy loins like a man, for I will demand of thee, and answer thou me. Where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare if thou hast understanding. Who hath laid the measure thereof, if thou knowest? Or who hath stretched the line upon it? Whereupon are the foundations thereof fastened? Or who laid the cornerstone thereof? All the sons of God shouted, thereof, get ahead of myself. Whereupon are the foundations thereof fastened? Or who laid the cornerstone thereof? When the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy? Or who shut up the sea with doors, when it brake forth, as if it had issued out of the womb? When I made the cloud the garment thereof, and thick darkness a swaddling band for it, and break up for it my decree place, and set bars and doors, and said, Hitherto thou shalt come, but no further, and here shall thy proud waves be stayed. Hast thou commanded the morning since thy days, and hast the days spring to know his place? That it may take hold of the ends of the earth, that the wicked might be shaken out of it. It is turned as clay to the seal, and they stand as a garment. And from the wicked their light is withholden, and the high arm shall be broken. Hast thou entered into the springs of the sea, or hast thou walked in the search of the depth? Have the gates of death been opened unto thee, or hast thou seen the doors of the shadow of death? Hast thou perceived the breadth of the earth? Declare if thou knowest. Where is the way where light dwelleth, as for darkness? Where is the place thereof? That thou shouldest take it to the bound thereof, that thou shouldest know the paths to the house thereof. Knowest thou because thou wast then born, or because the number of thy days is great? Hast thou entered into the treasures of the snow, or hast thou seen the treasures of the hail, which I have reserved against the time of trouble, against the day of battle and war? By the way is the light parted which scattereth the earth wind upon the earth, the east wind upon the earth. Who hath divided a watercourse for the overflowing waters, or a way for the lightning of thunder, to cause it to rain on the earth where there is no man, or on the wilderness wherein there is no man, to satisfy the desolate and waste ground, and to cause the bud of the tender herb to spring forth? Hath the rain a father? Or who hath begotten the drops of dew? Out of whose womb came the ice, and the hoary frost of the heaven? Who hath gendered it? The waters are hid as with a stone, and the face of the deep is frozen. Canst thou bind the sweet influences of Pleiades, or loose the bands of Orion? Canst thou bring forth Mazzaroth in his season, or canst thou guide Arcturus with his sons? Knowest thou the ordinances of heaven? Canst thou set dominion thereof in the earth? Canst thou lift up thy voice to the clouds, that abundance of water may cover thee? Canst thou send lightnings, that they may go and say unto thee, Here we are? Who hath put up wisdom in the inward parts? Who hath given understanding to the heart? Who can number the clouds in wisdom, or who can stay the bottles of heaven, when the dust groweth into hardness, and the clods cleave fast together? Wilt thou hunt the prey for the lion, or fill the appetite of the young lions, when they crouch in their dens and abide in the covert to lie in wait? Who hath provided for the raven his food, and when his young ones cry unto God, they wander for lack of meat? Knowest thou the time when the wild goats of the rock bring forth? Or canst thou mark when the hinds do calve? Canst thou number the months that they fulfill? Or canst thou the time when they bring forth? They bow themselves, they bring forth their young ones, they cast out their sorrows. Their young ones are in good liking. They grow up with corn, they go forth and return not unto them. For who hath set out the wild ass free? Or who hath loosed the bands of the wild ass? Whose house I have made the wilderness, and the barren land his dwelling. He scorneth the multitude of the city, neither regarding he the crying of the driver. The range of the mountains is his pasture, and he searcheth after every green thing. Will the unicorn be willing to serve thee, or abide by thy crib? Canst thou bind the unicorn with his band in the furrow, or will he harrow the valleys after thee? Wilt thou trust him, because his strength is great? Or wilt thou leave thy labor to him? Wilt thou believe him, that he will bring home thy seed, and gather it into thy barn? Gavest thou the godly wings unto the peacocks, or the wings and feathers unto the ostrich, which layeth her egg in the earth, and warmeth them with dust, and forgetteth that the foot might crush? Or that the wild beast may break them? She is hardened against her young ones, as though they were not hers. Her labor is in vain without fear. Because God hath deprived her of wisdom, neither hath he imparted to her understanding. What time she lifted up herself on high, she scorneth the horse and his rider. Hast thou given the horse strength? Hast thou clothed his neck with thunder? Canst thou make him afraid as a grasshopper? The glory of his nostrils is terrible. He paweth in the valley, and rejoice in his strength. He goeth on to meet the armed men, he mocketh at fear. He is unaffrighted, neither turneth back he from the sword. The quiver rattleth against him, and the glittering of spears and shields. He swalloweth the ground with fierceness and rage, neither believeth he that it is the sound of the trumpet. He saith among the trumpets, Ha ha! And he smelleth the battle afar off, the thunder of captains and the shouting. Doth the hawk fly by thy wisdom, and stretch her wings towards the south? doth the eagle mount up at thy command, and make her nest on high. She dwelleth and abideth on the rock, upon the crave of the rock, and the strong place. From thence she seeth the prey, and her eyes behold far off. Her young ones also suck up blood, and where the slain are, there she is. Moreover, the Lord answered to Job, Shall he that contendeth with the Almighty instruct him? He that reproved God, let him answer it. When Job answered the Lord, and said, Behold, I am vile, what shall I answer thee? I will lay mine hand upon my mouth. Once I have spoken, I will not answer, yea, twice, but I will proceed no further. And the Lord answered the Lord unto Job out of the whirlwind, and said, Gird up thy loins like a man, and I will demand of thee, and declare thou unto me. Wilt thou also disannul my judgment? Wilt thou condemn me, that thou mayest be righteous? Hast thou an arm like God, or canst thou thunder with a voice like him? Deck thyself now with majesty and excellency, and array thyself with glory and beauty. Cast abroad the rage of thy wrath, and behold every one that is proud, and abase him. Look on every one that is proud, and bring him low, and tread down the wicked in their place. Hide them in the dust together, and bind their faces in secret. Then will I also confess unto thee that thine own right hand can save thee. Behold now Behemoth, which I made with thee, he eateth grass like an ox. Lo, now his strength is in his loins, and his force in his navel of his belly. He moveth his tail like a cedar, and sinews of his stones are wrapped together. His bones are as strong pieces of brass. His bones are like bars of iron. He is the chief of the ways of God. He that made him can make his sword to approach unto him. Surely the mountains bring him forth food, where all the beasts of the field play. He lieth under the shady trees, in the coverts of the reed and fens. The shady trees cover him with their shadow, and the willows of the brook compass him about. Behold, he drinketh up a river, and hasteth not. He trusts that he can draw up Jordan into his mouth. He taketh it with his eyes, his nose pierceth through snares. Canst thou draw out Leviathan with a hook, or his tongue with a cord which thou lettest down? Canst thou put a hook into his nose, or bore his jaw through with a thorn? Will he make many supplications unto thee? Will he speak soft words unto thee? He will make a covenant with thee? Wilt thou take him for a servant forever? Wilt thou play with him as with a bird, or shall bind him for thy maidens? Shall the companions make a banquet of him? Shall they part him among the merchants? Canst thou fill his skin with barbed irons, or his head with fish spears? Lay thine hand upon him, remember the battle, do no more. Behold, the hope of him is in vain. Shall not one be cast down even in the sight of him? None is so fierce that dare stir him up. Who then is able to stand before me? Who hath prevented me that I should repay him? Whatsoever is under the whole heaven is mine. I will not conceal his parts, nor his power, nor his comely proportion. Who can discover the face of his garment, or who can come to him with his double bridle? Who can open the doors of his face? His teeth are terrible round about. His scales are his pride, shut up together as with a close seal. One is so near to another that no air can come between them. They are jointed one to another, they stick together, they cannot be asunder. By his neesings a light doth shine. His eyes are like the eyelids of the morning. Out of his mouth go burning lamps, and sparks of fire leap out. Out of his nostrils goeth smoke, as out of the seething of a pot or cauldron. His breath kindleth coals, and the flame goeth out of his mouth. In his neck remaineth strength, and sorrow is turned into joy before him. The flakes of his flesh are joined together, they are firm in themselves, they cannot be moved. His heart is as firm as stone, yea, as hard as a piece of nether millstone. When he riseth up in self, the mighty are afraid, that by reason of breakings they purify themselves. The sword of him that layeth at him cannot hold. The spear, the dart, nor habergeon. He esteemeth iron as straw, and brass as rotten wood. The arrow cannot make him flee. Sling stones are turned with him into stubble. Darts counted as stubble. He laugheth at the shaking of a spear. Sharp stones are under him. He spreadeth sharp pointed things upon the mire. He maketh the deep to boil like a pot, and he maketh the sea like a pot of ointment. He maketh the path to shine after him. One would think the deep to be hoary. Upon the earth there is none like his like. There is not his like. Who is made without fear. He beholdeth all high things. He is a king over all the children of pride. That, dear children and beloved, is a taste of what God can do. He is able to do all these things. As powerful as the Leviathan is, he kneels before God. As powerful and as strong as the behemoth, he kneels before God. As majestic, strong, and graceful as the unicorn is, he still bows before the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I assure you, this is the God we serve. And I encourage you to delve deeper into the book of Job, because he was an innocent man who went through a terrible time. But he went through it at God's behest, because there was none like him. Behold my servant Job. There is none like him in all the land. And the devil kept trying to get Job to curse God to his face, and not once did he do it, until he poured his soul out to the Lord. He wasn't complaining in vain. He was being honest with God. And I encourage you to read the book of Job. So, without further ado, I'll leave you with this final word. God is greater than whatever you may be facing. He is greater than whatever you may be going through. And he is definitely greater than what you think you have done. Go to him. Pray unto him. Seek his face and humble yourself before him. And I assure you, you'll find him every single time. So until we meet again, folks, stay safe, stay blessed, and as always, stay in the shadow of the Almighty. This is your old Uncle Jason, signing off.